Hello and welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching us today. This week we're up in Boston, Mass. We're meeting with a number of companies, some of the best and brightest in tech and telecom. And on our program right now is Mike Storella. He's the COO of Snom. Mike, welcome back.
Welcome. Thank you for having me back. That's great. Good to see you.
Likewise, let's start at the top. There may be someone who's not familiar with your company. Give us the overview.
Okay, the overview is we've been in business about 12 years. We make, manufacture, design, software, and hardware for voice over IP business phones. And we have a whole line of phones that work in many different environments. Anything to do with SIP, the protocol that runs voice over IP.
And what are the things you've been seeing in the market this year?
Well, I think for us this year, what we've seen in the market is clearly Microsoft Lync seems to be has come into the marketplace in the last year. I think it's almost a year old a couple of weeks ago. But I think it's changed a lot of the enterprise focus on UC. Our phones, of course, work with Microsoft Lync. We have 3 phones that are basically qualified and connect directly to Microsoft Lync. So we've seen a lot of activity in that marketplace.
Now, so you think this time it's for real, right? Because it went through a rename, it was OCS, there were a few names for that, and finally it seems like this year there's traction.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of traction. A lot of proof of concept trials going on out there. We had a program there this year called Link in a Box where people could get a discount on a purchase of phones to get started. But I think we've seen a lot of adoption of the concept now of bundling business applications with voice, like SharePoint and live meeting and chat and directory services with voice, and it seems like a natural.
It's very exciting.
It's very exciting. Very
right?
exciting.
So it's just a lot more flexibility for customers, right? There's another big competitor in the space.
Yeah. And I think what is exciting too is, the dream years ago when voice over IP phones was that you had an intelligent endpoint and you could write applications and you could use the intelligence of the VoIP phone to master some of those applications in the back room of your business and or across, your enterprise. I think the other thing that we're going to finally see is, one of the earliest applications I always wanted was, gee, my directory on my smartphone matches the directory in my laptop that will match the directory on my desk phone, of course, that we make. But,
right.
So that one thing I think is a major step forward of saying I can answer a call on any device I have. I can make a call. It's controlled by the enterprise. It's controlled by the business. Whereas before, I think our cell phones, were separate entities from the business operation.
Sure.
And you happen to use the cell phone because it was mobile, but it really never integrated back into the office.
Sure.
So I think this is very exciting for us in our industry, especially because I think it's the beginning of that integration or collaboration, as Microsoft and some others call it. Yeah.
So what are some of the benefits of working with your company nowadays compared to, like, let's say 3, 4, 5 years ago with I guess, legacy telephony, if you want to compare the two?
Well, I think what you'll find with us is even 5 years ago, voice over IP phones were early, okay? We're now gigabit speed. We have color screens. We're doing a lot of busy lamp field, presence information, XML. You can write applications. So the phones have really, really, really matured into a very nice device that I think on your desktop acts as the dashboard for your UC environment, okay? I think the business phone exists because it's a tool to make operation of voice calls easier. And some of those buttons help you out through that process. I think certain things belong on a laptop and a PC, certain things belong on a smartphone or your iPhone or your Windows phone. But I think the desktop is a very low-cost device. Normally you buy them for like 7 years. Our low-end phone is $129, our high-end phone is $329. Very cost-effective. It's an always-on device. And I think it helps people in their productivity in their business world. And you can have one at home now. It's not only at the office.
Sure.
If you have a home office, you can duplicate the phone exactly that you have in the office at your home office.
Right.
So it makes you a lot more productive for conference calling, transfer, hold, a lot of features that we took for granted years ago, which I still think are pretty difficult on those other devices,
right,
but easy on a phone. So,
what about video?
Video, I think, interesting. I think right now, video's coming. I think it's still not there yet. I think inside the enterprise, people can do video calling, but it hasn't, I think, proliferated outside the enterprise except in the consumer markets, like, of course, like Skype, and who I think are educating us all to what can happen in video. And, of course, Link, again, has video capabilities, which I think sooner or later will proliferate onto all our desktops. So I think it's coming. I don't think it's commonplace yet, but I think it's clearly will be one of those features that will, like HD voice. I mean, in the beginning of HD voice or wideband audio, everybody's going, well, or HD TV, why do I need this? Once you get it, you want it, and the next time it becomes a standard. And I think that will happen over the next 3 to 5 years with video.
Yeah, it's interesting with the move to HD video that someone was mentioning to me a little while ago that 5 years ago you weren't quite sure you needed it, but now you see a commercial that's not in HD and you're like, what's wrong with that? What happened to the TV? The picture's all fuzzy. It doesn't. It's stretched. It doesn't look right. Yeah. So you get used to it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I think one of the things, once our backbone networks go all IP and the SIP trunking takes over a bigger role, all the phones can do HD video, and all our competitors can too. I mean, HD voice. The calling will be, gee, this call's so much better and clearer, and it really, in comparison to a regular PSTN call of years ago, it's going to be superior. Yeah.
So for companies that ask how you compare to like competitors, why do they buy from you? What's the answer you give?
I think we're not the highest priced products, and we're not the lowest priced products. We present a very good cost-value relationship. We've always led from an engineering standpoint, just like we did with Microsoft Link. Our phones are standard SIP-based phones that work with Link natively, so it's not like a Link-only phone, but and basically we're ubiquitous. We try to work with everybody that has a VoIP system, switch, or whatever you want, a soft switch that is in the planet. So there's a lot of good investment from our phones that you can change your supplier, or you can have multiple suppliers on the same phone, where you could run Microsoft Link and maybe you have a hosted service from somebody else, or you have distributed offices and you want to have some local, say, VoIP trunks versus some connection back to the home office.
So what's next?
More of the same. We'll have more products. We announced basically 2 new phones this year called the 700 series. Gigabit speed, color screens, lots of buttons, and lots of capabilities to work with other people's solutions. We'll continue to do a lot of interrupt work. We'll probably see some enhancement in our DEC offerings. Our DEC phones are cordless, and we have some things in the paging area where we have a paging device that connects to SIP, so you can get your legacy paging, overhead paging, working with your voice over IP system.
Great. Yeah, you mentioned DEC. I'm just blown away at the range and low power of that solution.
Actually, that's and one of the biggest benefits is our handsets will run for 10 hours without a charge, so you get a full business day, so to speak, from that, where a Wi-Fi phone, sometimes you have to recharge it after 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, Wi-Fi's a bit more,
a lot more
power
expensive.
hungry. It gets the handsets. I mean, I haven't tested a Wi-Fi device recently, but they tended to get pretty hot too, just with that battery drain.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
So great. Well, thanks for being on the program.
All right, thank you very much. Good seeing you again.
Yeah.